You've been chasing the wrong game your entire life, and deep down, you know it. From the moment you were born, you were handed a script. You didn't write it. You didn't even get to question it. You were told, go to school, get good grades, get into a decent university, find a safe job, get married, buy a house, and spend the rest of your life trying not to fall behind. That's the formula for success, right? That's what everyone said would make you happy. Yet here you are, following the script step by step, and still feeling completely disconnected from yourself, still feeling like something is missing. The problem is that the game you're playing was never designed to make you feel alive. It was designed to keep you predictable, to make you a cog in someone else's machine. You were trained to measure your worth by how well you fit into the system, not by how much you actually grow, create, or contribute. Think about it. From a young age, you're rewarded for compliance, not curiosity. You're praised for memorizing answers, not asking questions. You're told to sit still, to not take risks, to play it safe. And when you do everything right, what's your reward? Maybe a job that drains your energy, a paycheck that barely covers your bills, and the occasional weekend where you get to feel free, before Monday comes and the cycle starts again. Most people never even realize they're trapped because the world has become incredibly good at distracting them. We're living in a simulation of success, likes, followers, status, money, but none of it touches the part of you that actually needs meaning. You've been taught to chase achievements like trophies, but achievements without purpose are just empty milestones. You reach one, and instead of feeling fulfilled, you just start chasing the next, because the truth is, it's not success you want. It's significance, it's connection, it's the feeling of waking up knowing your life actually matters for something more than your comfort. But the game you've been playing doesn't care about that. It only rewards speed, not direction. You could spend your whole life climbing the ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. That's the tragedy most people face. They wake up at 40 or 50 and realize they've been living someone else's dream, not their own. They were so busy trying to win that they never stopped to ask if the game was even worth playing, and it's not your fault. You were never shown another option. Society glamorizes busyness and productivity as if they're signs of value. But working hard on the wrong thing is still wasting your life. The system wants you tired, distracted, and dependent because a person who's truly fulfilled can't be controlled. A person with purpose doesn't need external validation. They don't buy things to feel better. They don't chase approval. They operate from alignment, not anxiety. So if you feel lost right now, it's not because you're broken, it's because you're waking up. You're starting to realize that the version of success you were sold is hollow, that the game everyone's obsessed with, money, status, likes, doesn't feed your soul. You're starting to sense that maybe there's another way. And there is. The real game is about building something authentic, a life where what you do, think, and feel are all in sync. It's about choosing growth over comfort, freedom over approval, and purpose over profit. The moment you stop chasing the wrong game and start defining success on your own terms, everything changes. The emptiness fades because you're finally playing for you. You stop trying to impress and start trying to express. You stop chasing what looks good and start doing what feels right. That's when life starts to mean something. That's when you finally start to win, not in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of your own soul. You've confused pleasure with purpose, and that's why you still feel so empty. It's not your fault the world you live in is designed to make you chase instant gratification instead of long-term meaning. Every app on your phone, every advertisement, every social media feed is engineered to hijack your attention and give you a quick dopamine hit. Scroll, click, swipe, repeat. You feel a momentary rush, a tiny burst of excitement, but 5 seconds later, it's gone. And so, you go back for more. You've become addicted to moments that feel good but do nothing to make you better. That's the difference between pleasure and purpose. Pleasure is easy, it's quick, it's shallow. It's the hit of dopamine you get when someone likes your photo, when you buy something new, when you binge a show or escape into distractions. But purpose is hard. Purpose requires discipline, sacrifice, and consistency. It's not exciting in the short term, but it's deeply fulfilling in the long run. The sad reality is, most people will trade decades of purpose for seconds of pleasure. They'll sell their attention, their energy, and their potential to the lowest bidder as long as it feels good right now. You wake up, check your phone before even saying a word to yourself, and start comparing your life to others. You scroll through highlight reels and wonder why you're not happy. But you don't realize that every time you do this, you're teaching your brain to crave stimulation instead of satisfaction. You're teaching yourself that peace is boring and chaos is exciting, and so your mind becomes restless. You can't sit still, you can't focus. You can't go a single day without some kind of external entertainment. You've built a life where you're constantly surrounded by noise, and then you wonder why you can't hear your own thoughts. Here's the truth: pleasure is not the problem. The problem is that you've made it your purpose. You've confused temporary comfort for real happiness. True fulfillment doesn't come from consuming, it comes from creating. It comes from pushing through resistance, from working on something that matters, from delaying gratification to build a future that actually excites you. But society doesn't teach that anymore. Society teaches you that comfort is the goal. Buy this, eat that, watch this, indulge, escape, repeat. You're told that if you just have enough pleasure, you'll be happy, yet the people with the most pleasure, the wealthiest, most successful, most followed, are often the most miserable. Look around, depression and anxiety are at record highs, even though we've never had more access to comfort and entertainment. Why? Because the human spirit doesn't thrive on ease, it thrives on meaning. You can't trick your soul with dopamine. You can flood it with distractions, but it'll always know something's off. You'll always feel that quiet emptiness, that whisper saying, "This isn't it." That's your conscience reminding you that pleasure is meant to reward purpose, not replace it. The truth is, most of what you call pleasure isn't even real joy, it's just avoidance. You're avoiding your potential. You're avoiding the uncomfortable work of self-discovery. You're avoiding the silence where you might actually have to confront who you are and what you've been neglecting. Pleasure numbs that discomfort for a while, but it never cures it. It's like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you get. The moment you stop chasing pleasure and start pursuing purpose, everything begins to shift. You start to realize that real joy isn't found in what you consume, but in what you create. It's found in doing things that align with your values, in building habits that strengthen your mind, in helping others, in growing into someone you can respect. That's where meaning lives. It's not loud or flashy, it's quiet, deep, and unshakable. When you live with purpose, pleasure doesn't disappear, it becomes sweeter. It's no longer an escape, it's a celebration. It becomes the reward for your effort, not the substitute for it. That's the difference between people who live empty lives and those who live fulfilled ones. One side is chasing the next high, the other is building a legacy. The choice between pleasure and purpose is the choice between temporary relief and lasting fulfillment. And if you want peace, real, lasting peace, you have to stop confusing the two. You haven't earned self-respect yet, and that's why you still feel lost. You can fake confidence online, wear nice clothes, talk like you have it all figured out, but deep down you know the truth. You don't truly respect yourself, because respect can't be bought, posted, or performed. It has to be earned, and earning it requires doing the things most people avoid: keeping promises to yourself, showing up when it's inconvenient, and pushing through the resistance that tries to hold you back every single day. Self-respect doesn't come from motivation, it comes from discipline. It's not built in the moments when life feels easy, it's built in the moments when you want to quit but don't. Every time you do what you said you would, even when no one's watching, you build trust with yourself. That's what confidence actually is: the quiet knowing that you can rely on yourself, but most people don't have that. They talk about big goals, big dreams, but when it's time to act, they fold. They hit snooze instead of waking up. They escape into distractions instead of focusing on their purpose, and then they wonder why they feel like frauds in their own skin. The truth is, your mind knows when you're lying to yourself. It remembers every time you said you'd change and didn't. It keeps score, and every broken promise chips away at your self-respect until all that's left is guilt and frustration. You start to seek validation from others because you've lost it within yourself. You chase attention, approval, and external recognition, hoping it'll fill the void, but it never does. Because respect doesn't come from others clapping for you, it comes from you clapping for yourself after doing something difficult and meaningful. If you want to stop feeling empty, stop trying to feel good and start doing what's good for you. Wake up early, train your body, read, build something, face your weaknesses instead of hiding behind excuses. Every small victory you earn in private creates a foundation of self-worth that no one can take away. When you live with integrity, when your actions align with your words, you stop needing validation because you finally have something better, Self-trust. That's the moment you start to respect yourself, not because life is perfect, but because you're finally living as the person you were meant to be.